Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to look at the latest from the live radar run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as once again it is looking stunning through the next 5 days, which does include this upcoming bank holiday weekend. Now, temperatures will be widely around the high teens and low 20s over the next few days with bone dry conditions. Unfortunately, though, Monday could be the coolest period in the foreseeable future, really, as we do see a bit of a colder air mass move in from the east around the higher pressure. It could mean those temperatures are more towards the mid to low teens in the far east and peaking around 17 or 18 degrees further westwards. So it should still be quite a nice day, still sunny, but will probably be a little bit on the chillier side. Apart from that, though, when the air mass is fairly warm, which is the majority of the time, we're seeing temperatures set in those high teens and low 20s point. As we look at the longer range, it's looking continually warm as we do head into early June. In yesterday's video, we did look at the potential for a bit of a colder air mass moving in, and all three main runs were showing it yesterday, and ensembles were. And of course, I said massive caveat that it is at day 10. A lot of uncertainty with it, and today the models have completely reverted from that, and only a few isolated ensemble members are showing it. So it just shows you how flip-floppy the models can be. So if you are looking for warmer, dry weather continuing, then it's a good thing. But if you were looking for a bit of a change, something a bit cooler, a little bit more diverse, then unfortunately it does look likely we're going to see this high pressure stick around for the next week, potentially even 2 weeks and beyond. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in description. So instead, if we do start on the live radar, you can see most of Northern and Western Europe is bone dry at the moment. A few thunderstorms out towards the Mediterranean, down towards Southeast Europe, Southern Europe in general, but around the UK, Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, France, all these regions towards Northern and Western Europe, it is bone dry and really quite warm. Now, it's not record-breaking heat, it's not heat wave by any means, but many areas are getting into those low to mid-20s point, which does start to include the UK, with all these more deeper oranges indicating temperatures into the 20-degree point. So it is widely very warm once again. Far East still a little bit chilly with that high pressure sat over us. There is a brief easterly flow, a very small easterly flow, but nevertheless it does cool those temperatures down ever so slightly, and that's the sort of easterly flow we'll be feeling even more as we head into Monday. But generally still very warm as I'm recording this, and it's likely to continue over the next few days and beyond. Now, if you look at the UKV, unfortunately it hasn't run this morning for some reason, so we're going to have to look at the 3 PM run from yesterday, but fortunately at the moment it's not really changing all too much. Perhaps a bit of cloud positioning and those top temperatures sort of oscillating by a couple of degrees, but other than that it's really not changed at all over the last few days. So we'll run through it quickly once again, look at the precipitation, pretty bone dry through today, and it will continue to be bone dry as we head into the weekend as well through Saturday. Perhaps a little bit of rain overnight in the north and the west as we see a bit of a decaying weather front moving in, but most areas are still very dry. Now continuing to Sunday too, a bit thicker cloud perhaps in a few spots, but generally again very, very dry, plenty of sunshine, and again no hints of any substantial rain all the way to Tuesday afternoon into the final days of May. Now, have to look at the upper air temperatures. They are very warm generally over the coming days, just staying around those oranges. Again, we use the typical system of about 15 degrees, add to these upper air temperatures for the surface top temperature. So whenever we see this 10 degrees 850 HPA air mass move in, there is the possibility of seeing somewhere get to 25 degrees. And that could be a possibility as we head into next week. But you can see as we head towards Sunday, and then especially as we head more towards Monday, you can see the cooler air mass down eastern regions, and that will cool it down at the surface initially. You can see that easterly flow. It's warming up very quickly through Sunday afternoon into Monday, but it could give a bit of a chillier period there. But as we head into Monday and Tuesday, those upper air temperatures warm up. And look at Tuesday, very warm upper air temperatures, and I wouldn't be surprised to see those temperatures really climbing next week if we saw these upper air temperatures really stay. Tuesday, we'll have a look at the 2 meter temperatures in a minute. I'm not sure it's going to be 25, 26, 27 degrees like these sort of upper air temperatures would indicate, simply because it hasn't filtered down to the surface, that warmth yet. But that will be coming next week if these air masses do sustain themselves, and they are looking likely to do so. Now, if we do look at the 2 meter temperatures, if we do run to today afternoon at 3 p.m, you can see the tip-top temperatures were around that 19 to 21 degree range. Very warm and very dry. As we do head into Saturday, once again temperatures peaking around that 20 to maybe as high as 23 or 24 degree point. Very warm out in that stunning sunshine. And as we head into Sunday, we'll start to see those surface conditions starting to cool down, especially in the northeast, but that air mass, that cold air mass, is starting to move in. But soon in the south and west, could see 20 to 23. As said, into Monday, it's widely going to be a cooler day. Top temperatures, maybe 20 degrees in a few spots, but mostly more towards the mid to high teens further westwards, and for the far east, down more towards the mid to maybe even low teens right on the coast. So notably, a couple of degrees colder, maybe 2 or 3 degrees, nothing too substantial, but when we're sort of seeing day after day repeat itself, it is a little bit of a significant change compared to what we've had over the many days preceding it and the many days going after. As we do head into Tuesday, finally, you can see the temperatures will recover quite nicely into Tuesday afternoon. Still could be a little bit chilly down that east coast, but widely further elsewhere, those temperatures are climbing even higher, 20 to 23 degrees to top temperatures. And you see it could be the best through northern and western areas, furthest away from that cooler easterly flow. Parts of the Highlands of Scotland there showing 23 degrees, along with parts of the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales and southwest England. Best conditions there, so 21 to 23 degrees. And of course, the next few days with those warm upper air temperatures, wouldn't be surprised if it got to 25 degrees or higher. So we do now have a look at the longer range, go over to the GFS and see what that's showing. Again, we did see that bit of a northerly flow at that day 10 to day 14 point. That's not really appearing today. But that's not really appearing today. Could show a little bit of a northerly flow, but no really cold air mass moving in compared to what we saw yesterday. So you can see high pressure completely dominates, bit of an easterly flow early next week. You can see that moves in, bit of a tightening of the isobars there. That means it goes a little bit chillier. Beyond that though, high pressure just stays in control and warm air slowly does waft its way up from the south. It could go considerably warmer, hotter in the longer term. We do see a bit of that pattern of retrogression of higher pressure up towards Greenland and a bit of a northerly flow with cold air trying to come our way. But by this point, we're actually still firmly under that warm air mass. So yeah, not really pulling it in today. If we do scroll back, you can see the upper air temperatures are hovering around that 10 degree points. That's why I think mid-20s is the most likely top temperature, and it could peak as we do head to the first days of June next week there. You can see those upper air temperatures are really quite warm. And again, if we zoom into the United Kingdom look, and we put on those 2 meter temperatures, you'll be able to see that hopefully we get up towards those mid-20s next week. Maybe even slightly higher, 25 degrees showing up there in northern western areas, maybe slightly higher in a few spots. Again, only showing the midday and the 6 p.m. temperatures here, not the 3 p.m. temperatures, which will likely be a couple of degrees higher. So 27, 28 is possible as we do head into the first full week of June, but we will just have to see. At the moment, it's just looking generally really quite pleasant and warm, continuing around that low 20s point. As said, if we do look at the longer term though, you can see there is some very hot air just to our south. If we wanted to see anything like 30 degrees or higher, we need to see that very warm air mass waft in. But at this stage, we're not seeing anything too substantial, just generally warm, slightly warmer than average, and pretty stunning conditions to prevail for the rest of May and for the first period of June. If you do look at the GM now, again, high pressure continues to dominate over the coming days. And yeah, no real change there. GFS, similar to the GFS, and it's day 10. Not even got a remote chance of a northerly wind there. That cold air mass is staying well to our north. We're actually wafting in a very hot air mass, 15 degree isotherm moving in. Temperature deviation getting towards 10 degrees above average. And we put in the United Kingdom, temperature midnight, touching 18 or 19 degrees, just indicating how hot it could get during the daytime. And look at that, widely 25 to 28 degrees. Very, very warm indeed. And again, those sort of temperatures in sort of the peak areas could reach 30 degrees. You can see 29 degrees across the southwest there. So GM showing something more in line with an early June sort of spell of real warmth. Wouldn't call it a heat wave. Again, we need to see even hotter widespread conditions, but locally could be factored in as a heat wave if this sort of pattern did come off. We always get in a bit of trouble during the summer months as everyone has a different sort of definition and different thresholds for heat waves. But I think if we did see widespread 30 degrees with that sort of pattern, then I think most people would agree it would be some sort of heat wave into early June. But at the moment, showing more likely high 20s. We'll just have to see. But really quite big warmth. You can see the upper air temperatures there peaking around that 13 or 14 degree mark, and again you add on the 15 degrees, and that's why we're getting those top temperatures of 28 or 29. So very warm from the GM, not only remaining warm and dry over the coming period, but actually starts to waft up a proper hot air mass from the south towards the day 10 point. If we look at the ECMWF, again, high pressure continues to dominate. Again, no real change. Could try and pull in a northerly wind right at day 10 and perhaps poised for it. But looking at this, I doubt that cold air would get our way, most likely heading into Scandinavia, UK, remaining fairly warm under the 10 degree isotherm and sort of cementing itself on top of us. When we get a period like this, we do get that warm air mass just sat over the top of us for a number of days, a number of weeks. Similar to the summer of 2018, we can see homegrown heat. We don't actually need a long-fetched southerly wind to start getting those high 20s or even 30 degrees, especially as we head in towards July time when we get normally our peak temperatures. So if we did see something like that over the coming weeks, it would mean that the summer is set up generally to be hotter than normal, simply because the ground is warmer, the ground is drier. We just got all of this latent heat just sat over us. So that could be something we could be seeing here from the ECMWF. It's not a terribly warm direction, this air mass, but we've got warm air trapped over the top of us. So again, that could happen as we head into June as well. It would mean that we need a proper pattern change to see a shift in the air mass, a proper northerly or a properly northwesterly wind, or a proper big change in this high pressure block if we're going to see any changes here. And again, if we zoom into the United Kingdom, look, once again, we're likely to see low 20s here. Again, these are the midday temperatures. By 3 p.m, most likely a few degrees higher and around that sort of low 20s point. Again, even if the upper air temperatures are warm, you'd still expect down the east coast to still be a little bit chilly with a northeasterly flow. If we do finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see a few of those colder runs during early June, but most have disintegrated, and actually into the early part of June, the first few days, it looks really warm, perhaps low to mid-20s widely appearing there, and is the long term still average or above average, and precipitation is minimal. We keep seeing spikes appearing at sort of the day 7 to day 10 point, but they keep getting pushed back, and it's looking likely for the London area, no rain in the next 7 days, maybe even nothing within the next 10 days. If you look at the 2 meter temperatures, again, generally around the high teens over the next couple of days, you can see that briefly cooler period on Monday, and then generally very warm beyond that, widely around the 20 degree point, and even those runs getting up towards the 25 degree or higher position. Again, these are the midday and 6 p.m. Temperatures from these runs, so by 3 p.m. you can always add a few degrees. If we look at the ECMWF ensembles combined with this, again, very warm, generally average to above average over the foreseeable future. Perhaps more rain into early June, but again, we have to factor in the 50 ensemble members. But yeah, just generally very warm and very dry. We don't normally check out the GM ensembles, but interested to see where the GM is on the spectrum here. And you can see it is warm, but there are quite a few GM runs going for it. So GM definitely on board with something very, very warm here with its ensemble members, getting up towards that 10 to 15 degree mark. And if we look at those 2 meter temperatures, getting up towards the mid to high 20s or even touching 30 degrees on a couple of these ensemble runs, even at midday. So it could be 32 or 33 by 3 p.m. Very interesting seeing that from the GM. GM definitely on board with potentially a bit of a heat wave into the first few days of June. But we've got to be modest. Most runs, including the GFS and ECMWF operationals and ensemble members, just generally have warm and dry conditions prevailing for the foreseeable future, with the potential for mid to high 20s as we head into early June, and a slim chance of something a bit hotter, maybe towards that 30 degree mark, like one of these GM runs is showing. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed that cooler spell we thought could appear and had been hinting at and was probably within the model output yesterday, has now disappeared, could return, but today the latest data is showing that warm and dry period to continue and perhaps getting even hotter into early June. So if you are looking forward to some warmer, drier weather and you love what we've got at the moment, it's only just going to stay like this and get better. Not looking at anything worse, at least for the next week, perhaps even longer. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.